sensitization to curb the persistent rise in maternal and neonatal mortality across the state. Chris Nyamtu was there and now reports.
The Maternal Mortality Reduction Innovation and Initiative, MAMI, is a new federal government program launched in November 2024 to address the alarming rates of maternal and neonatal deaths across communities in Nigeria. The initiative adopts a sector-wide approach, SWAP, bringing together all stakeholders under a unified strategy and single budget framework to enhance efficiency and impact. Nasarawa State is among 17 states selected for the implementation of the MAMI project. To ensure effective execution at the grassroots level, a week-long capacity building workshop was organized for health workers, including traditional birth attendants and local government health secretaries, to strengthen maternal and newborn care services. After the official launch in Lafia, Mr. Omoruyi Iyahen, a representative of the sector-wide approach team, explained that the project is being piloted in Nasarawa and Kefi local government areas identified as the highest burden locations for maternal and neonatal mortality.
We were able to identify challenges stemming from bad roads. If a woman wants to give birth at some odd hours, there will be issues. We are going to work with Ministry of Works and Housing and other relevant ministries to see some of these issues are tackled once and for all.
The Chief Medical Director of the Federal University of Lafia Teaching Hospital, Dr. Ikrama Hassan, described the launch as a significant step forward for maternal health care in the state and called for sustained collaboration among stakeholders.
We are really happy that this program is finally being launched in Nasarawa State. One of the major reasons that women do not access healthcare services is the cost. So now the government is taking up the costs from them, and we believe that it is going to encourage women to come more into health facilities. And when we have more women coming to have ANC and deliver health facilities, it significantly reduces the maternal mortality.
The Health Secretary of Nasarawa Local Government Area, Hajia Fatima Aziba, emphasized the importance of continuous training and support for health workers to enhance their ability to identify and assist pregnant women, particularly in rural communities.
We welcome the idea 100%, and we will take it as our own project to reduce or crush maternal mortality in our community in Nasarawa State.
Pregnant women who attended the event, including Hajia Rabi Audi, acknowledged the initiative as critical to safeguarding their health and that of their unborn children.
They give Mama Keys, they give us 5,000 naira. Thank you very much for the president and Governor ASL. God bless them all.
Representing the State Commissioner for Health, the Permanent Secretary, Dr. John Damina, reaffirmed the state government's commitment to ensuring the success of the project. In Lafia, Chris Nyamtu, Radio Nigeria.
Stakeholders in the health sector have expressed optimism that the final output of the guidelines for essential medical and laboratory services JELA project will shape Nigeria's contributions to the World Health Organization guideline program while enhancing healthcare service delivery across all levels. They made the assertion at the stakeholder meeting in Abuja, where experts highlighted the project's impact on improving child and newborn health outcomes. The president of the Pediatric Association of Nigeria, PAN, Professor Ekane Mekure, emphasized the clinical significance of the initiative, stressing that it was a major health provision initiative. Professor Okure commended the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, particularly the Child Health Division and the Department of Family Health, for their sustained collaboration throughout the project. He also mentioned two major achievements of the project: improving hand hygiene and infection prevention among healthcare workers and the public, and advancing care for low birth weight and preterm newborns to reduce mortality rates. The key objectives of the meeting included updating the Federal Ministry of Health on the guideline development process, presenting finalized draft recommendations in infographic and digital formats, as well as discussing strategies for widespread dissemination and adoption of the guidelines. The federal government says agri-industrial hubs will reduce post-harvest losses being experienced by farmers nationwide to enhance economic growth. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this at the groundbreaking ceremony of agri-business industrial hubs in Aton Ijaye in Akinyele local government area of Oyo State. Vice President Shetima, while lauding the initiative of Governor Seyi Makinde-led administration in agricultural sector, said it was in tandem with the renewed hope agenda of the federal government. Represented by the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Abubakar Kyari, and the Vice President reiterated the commitment of the federal government to transform the sector.
Groundbreaking of the agro-industrial hub under the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone SAPZ program marks a decisive stride in our collective quest to build a resilient, self-sufficient and prosperous Nigeria. I hereby reaffirm President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's unwavering commitment to the transformative journey under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Accordingly, we are expanding the development benefit of the SAPZ across the 36 states in collaboration with the African Development Bank.
Governor Seyi Makinde pledged to boost the sector with a plan to create 100,000 jobs and support the livelihood of over 500,000 peasant farmers in the state. Governor Makinde maintained that his administration had identified 6 farm settlements, with 3 more in Ilora, Iresado, and Ipapo.
Strategic step on that journey of sustainable development. This is not our first zone. We began in Fashola in the Oyo zone. Right now we have 12 agri-businesses already operational. And then we continue in Erua, in Ibarapa zone, ensuring that the benefit of agri-business development reach every region of our state. We identified 6 farm settlements. Now we have additional 3. We will design it and hand over to the next administration.
The Director General, Agricultural Development Agency, Dr. Debo Akondi, said over 100,000 people will be directly and indirectly engaged in the state through the program. A civil society group, First Green White Resources, has urged politicians to engage more in constructive criticism for national development. The founder of the group, Mr. Bonaventure Mela, who gave the advice in Abuja at a news briefing, stressed the need for politicians to distinguish between politics and governance while assessing the achievements of the administration of President Bola Tinubu. He explained that the reforms of the present administration were yielding meaningful results and should be supported by Nigerians, irrespective of political affiliations. Mr. Mela maintained that some benefits of the reforms included infrastructure development, increased allocation to state governments, student loan scheme, and reduction in prices of foodstuff.
Some massive legacy projects like the rapid transformation of FCC, the 770 kilometer Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway, which is running from Lagos across the state to the Cross River State. That project may end up as Nigeria's most ambitious infrastructure investment in history when completed. States are currently receiving more than 3 times their previous statutory allocations, while there is enough money to pay workers.
The founder of the group described negative comments targeted at the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Bashir Ojulari, as ill-motivated and called for more support to enable him transform the oil sector.
President Bola Tinubu, while announcing Biology's appointment, made it clear that he is to carry out comprehensive overhaul of the company. In fact, he asked him to inject policies necessary for NPCL to compete and operate with the best global price tariff. What is at stake mostly is that these attacks have the potency to demarcate Nigeria's oil industry and scare away investors.
The Director of Publicity Strategic Communication Center for Defense and Security, Mr. Yashin Luka, encouraged or not to be distracted in carrying out reforms to address challenges faced in the oil sector. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Abia State Command, has staged a sensitization rally against human trafficking to mark the 2025 World Day Against Human Trafficking. The sensitization rally took the agency
such as forced labor, sales of babies, child abuse, and prostitution, pointing out that the agency is using various mediums to reach out to the people, both at the urban and rural areas.
They always start from local levels, local communities.
Representative of the Commissioner for Women Affairs, Abia State, Mrs. Chimunso Maranzi, noted that the Ministry of Women Affairs is collaborating with NAPTIP and other relevant bodies towards the fight against any form of human trafficking. The former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Women Affairs, Reverend James Imemani, described the act as a modern-day slavery that is a great sin before God and man, and urban trafficking and organized crime and exploitation from Moniya, Morris Limited, rural Nigeria.
Over 400 widows and persons with disability in Plateau State have been empowered with startup kits and mobility devices. The gesture was done by philanthropist Dr. Stanley Uzochukwu. Sarah Manzo reports from Kwame Ilju's North Local Government area, the venue of the event, where a remodeled orphanage home was also put in use for the less privileged.
The widows, orphans, and persons with disability sang songs of praises to God and danced joyfully in appreciation of the gifts they received. They thanked Dr. Uzochukwu and prayed God would continue to direct such kind-hearted individuals and organizations to support and alleviate the plight of the less privileged.
This man is a giver because I know him over 15 years. We have been coming here to clothe ourselves, to feed and to pay school fees for our children.
I can't go for everything I got. May God bless any more men like you for Nigeria and Africa.
Stanley Uzochukwu said the gesture was his way of giving back to the society, adding that he plans to expand the philanthropic gesture to the less privileged in other parts of the country.
When we ask God to bless us with a business, we always think we are going to make sure any location to bless us with all the less privileged, the widows will not be shamed. I said we will start empowering the women, and my wife also said that she will be coming herself to train the women to know how to sew and also start up the fashion business.
Former President of Sierra Leone, Ernest Koroma, urged the beneficiaries to ensure the items are used for self and economic advancement.
All of us come together and provide the support to the less privileged. All of you that are benefited, I want to urge all of you, whatever that you have to do, if you show commitment and determination to make something out of it, I'm sure we will be able to help others.
Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang, who applauded the gesture, emphasized that his administration will partner the company to enhance development within the state. He also pledged his commitment to ensure that orphanages in the state conform to best global practices. Items donated include grinding and sewing machines, wheelchairs, bags of rice, and other food items. Highlight of the ceremony was the commissioning of the remodeled orphanage and presentation of computer sets to outstanding students from the orphanage that excel in their studies. In Jos, Sarah Manzo, Radio Nigeria.
Over 800 youths and women in Bauchi State have been trained in various entrepreneurial skills and presented with starter packs under the supported Inclusive Basic Service Delivery Program. Isiaka Wunti reports that the initiative, which was a collaboration between the state, federal government and the African Development Bank, will empower beneficiaries across the 20 local government areas of the state.
Governor Bala Muhammad described the program as a testament to the government's commitment to addressing youth restiveness and reducing dependence on white-collar jobs. Bala Muhammad, represented by the Chief of Staff, Government House Bauchi, Dr. Amin Gamawa, commended the federal government and the African Development Bank for their vital roles in ensuring the program's success and called for sustenance of the collaborative effort.
The aim of this project is to ensure that we don't rely on government to employ us, but rather we become employers ourselves by learning the skills and trades that are continuously in demand.
The state project coordinator Alaji Garba Babaji Magaji stated that the starter packs were provided to support the trained beneficiaries in establishing businesses in their respective communities to promote self-reliance. He also praised the discipline and dedication of the beneficiaries throughout the training period and urged them to utilize the tools responsibly to improve their livelihood.
Retired in strength. Every time comes from the hand. It's not by physical strength. So that we shouldn't be talking about insecurity everywhere.
Responding to some of the calls, the former commissioner of police in the UCT, Mr. Moniya, recommended the establishment of an independent police pension scheme to address the issues of poor pensions to retired police officers in the country. The time is 27 minutes past 7. You're still listening to the news on the network service of Radio Nigeria. In the headlines, the National Association of Nigerian Nurses has suspended its 7-day war strike. The federal government has inaugurated an agribusiness hub to reduce post-harvest losses. No fewer than 400 widows benefited from an empowerment program in Plateau State. Still to come, Japan donates construction equipment to the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, plus sports news, commentary, cyberscope, newspaper headlines, and weather report. Stay tuned.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Is the country's environment nothing to write home about? Is the Niger Delta clean enough after the remediation? How safe are we as a country in the face of impending flooding across the Federation? These are some of the questions a chartered environmentalist and fellow of the Nigeria Institute of Environmental Engineers, Ikenna Okonkwo, will provide answers to in the current edition of your public accountability program, Eagle Square, on the network service of Radio Nigeria.
Disasters we see in America, in Asia, in Europe, we try to benchmark it to suppose it to be happening
Kayode Oyebisi this Monday at 7:30 in the evening on Eagle Square, where only the truth is good enough. It will be captivating and superb.
Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, presents a public enlightenment program, your partner in air travel. The program will focus on NCAA activities in the regulation of the country's aviation industry. It promises to be highly educative, informative, and entertaining for air passengers, airlines, ground handlers, stakeholders, staff, and the general public. So, tune in to FRCN Radio Link every Saturday, 9 to 9:10 a.m. For inquiry and observations, please send your message to 0803-304-7420, 0803-323-4403, WhatsApp only, or email us at penguinmedia2025@gmail.com. NCAA program, your partner in air travel. Don't miss it.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Welcome back. The government of Japan has donated construction equipment valued at about 4 billion naira to the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA. At the ceremony, the Minister of State for Works, Madam Bello, described the gesture as a significant boost to Nigeria's infrastructure development and renewal efforts. Madam Bello said the equipment will transform FEMA's capacity to maintain and rehabilitate the nation's vast road network. He explained that the gesture was a new dawn in enabling engineers and technicians to deliver faster and more sustainable outcomes in the infrastructure sector. The minister said the Japanese government's generosity had brought Nigeria closer to its vision of robust commerce, agriculture, healthcare, and national integration, as well as safety of lives and property. He commended President Bola Tinubu for his drive in the infrastructure sector, which attracted the donation, and urged the management of FEMA to put the equipment to good use. The managing director of FEMA, Emeka Agbasi, while appreciating the gesture, gave an assurance that the equipment will be adequately deployed for maximum effect on the nation's infrastructure. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has described the 6 years and a half of Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State as fruitful and transformative. President Tinubu made the assertion in a keynote address at the turbaning ceremony of the senator representing Nasarawa West at the National Assembly, Ahmed Wadada, as the managing dining affair held at the palace of the Emir Sidi Bagi. Correspondent Dahir Hassan reports that the event was attended by many dignitaries within and outside Nasarawa State.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, the President said the Governor has lived up to expectations of people of Nasarawa State with laudable policies and programs that have so far impacted them positively. He said federal government is working hard towards restoring peace, unity, and national cohesion, especially in parts of the country that are still grappling with insecurity.
Step into this modern traditional across the community never influence and color from the community peace and sustainable development.
Deputy Senate President Barau Jibril Nalia described the celebrant Senator Ali Wadada as a leader who cares for the well-being of his constituents. Also showered encomium on Governor Sule's transformative agenda that has changed the entire face of Lafia, the Nasarawa State capital.
We were very much confused. We thought in a different mega city. Lafia has changed under the leadership of the governor.
Governor Abdullahi Sule described the event as a convergence of critical stakeholders from within and outside the state, culminating into a forum to foster peace, unity, and national cohesion.
Senator Wadada has continued to be a proud son of Nasarawa State, and he has demonstrated that in so many ways the people of Nasarawa State can clearly see that Senator Wadada indeed is a friend of many, not only in Nasarawa State but in Nigeria as a whole.
For the celebrants, Ahmed Ali Wadada, it was an endless, joyous moment.
Next is State House Diary.
This is State House Diary. It is a program that summarizes the scenes of last week's main events at the State House, the seat of government. My name is Amuludun. Last week, the Federal Executive Council approved the establishment of an additional oncology center for the University College Hospital in Ibadan. The Minister, Professor Nipati, told State House correspondents that those for Zaria and Lagos centers were in the pipeline.
Folks who are unfortunately facing the deadly disease of cancers may choose to use our own resources here in this country.
Security upgrades, apron expansion, and the installation of advanced landing systems at Lagos, Kano, and Abuja airports. The Minister, Mr. Festus Keyamo, also said the federal government had granted a 30-year concession for the Akami Iblam International Airport in Enugu. Similarly, the Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabo, said FERC had approved the award of contract for providing renewable electricity to some higher educational and health institutions. The beneficiaries are the University of Lagos, Ahmed Ben University Zaria, the Obafemi Awolowo University Ilefe, University of Nigeria Nsukka, the University of Ibadan, including the University College Hospital, University of Ibadan, and the University in Taraba State.
Those already completed are actually University of Abuja. We have the University of Maiduguri, equally University of Calabar. We also have the Nigeria Defense Academy. Then we have the University of Agriculture of Ekuta.
Also briefing newsman, the Minister of Works, Mr. David Wahi, said FERC had approved massive road and bridge projects, including dual carriageways in Kebbi and Sokoto, costing over 2 trillion naira. The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, valued at 1.65 trillion naira, and the rehabilitation of major roads in Adama, Taraba, Kano, Ekiti, and the Enugu states.
Mr. President has done extremely very well in road and bridges infrastructure. There's so much to talk about in terms of what Mr. President is doing.
Last week, President Tinubu directed the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, to draft an executive order banning dredging around bridges in Lagos State. The Minister of Information, Alhaji Muhammad Idris, said the President had also approved the transfer of the office of the Surveyor General of the Federation from the Ministry of Works to the Presidency.
The Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice will bring an executive order for Mr. President's accent relating only to the Lagos area. Details of other areas around the country will be worked out in due course.
Also last week, President Tinubu called on young Nigerians active in the digital media space to harness their platforms as instruments of national progress. The President gave the advice while addressing participants to a national summit on digital media and democracy held in Abuja.
New media is no longer an accessory to our national life. It is fast becoming a central driver of economic growth, civic engagement, and social change. We are in a world where disinformation spread easily. Verify before you amplify, please. Let the digital space reflect the value that binds us together as a people. Honesty, compassion, discipline, and patriotism. Every story you tell is a statement to the world about who we are and what we stand for as a nation.
The President last week conferred national honors on all 24 players and the 11-member technical team of the Super Falcons, following their victory at the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. At a reception held in their honor, President Tinubu awarded each player and technical crew member the title of Officer of the Order of the Major, OOM. The President also directed the allocation of 1 3-bedroom apartment to each of them at the renewed Hope Housing Scheme. He equally approved a cash award of the naira equivalent of $1,000 to each of the 24 players and $50 naira equivalent to each technical team member.
You have inspired millions, especially young girls, who have seen the proof that their dreams are valid and achievable. And it's a great thing for a nation to have assets that are hope of today, tomorrow, and thereafter. We will continue to encourage you and receive this from you on behalf of all Nigerians. And I say to you, thank you for reminding us of the strength of the Nigerian spirit.
Also showing appreciation, Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum and Governor of Kwara State, Alhaji Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, announced a donation of $10 million to each of the players and technical team members on behalf of the 36 state governors. The First Lady Senator Amuludun 99.1 described the Super Falcons as role models and shining examples of courage and excellence. She congratulated the team for their exceptional performance and unwavering spirit, describing their journey as a testament to resilience, teamwork, and determination. We played with passion, confidence, and an unshakable belief in themselves that it is not over until it is over. During the week, Vice President Kashim Shettima called on global stakeholders to deepen cooperation with Nigeria and rebuilding sustainable and inclusive food systems across Africa. He made the call at a panel on country perspectives, government-led strategies, and regional frameworks at the UN Food Systems Summit +4 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Look at the handouts. And the whole mantra is an increase in will. Because entrepreneurial capitalism is embedded in the very psyche of the average Nigerian. In pursuance of its Green Legacy program, the federal government last week initiated the signing of a memorandum of understanding at a period the Organization of Southern Cooperation has chosen Nigeria as the site to build its first ever South-South Technology Transfer Center for Africa, just as is also proposed for Nigeria to host its African South-South Summit. This took place during a meeting between Vice President Shettima and the consortium that navigated Ethiopia's 46 billion tree planting success.
Nigeria will be the most populous nation on earth. Numbers count, provided those numbers are translated into productive assets. And this is precisely what we are doing.
Also last week, President Tinubu appointed the Pro-Chancellor, Governing Council members, and principal officers of the Federal University of Environment and Technology, Kumana, Sapoma, Ogboni, and River State, and the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council of Miami University, Kano. That's the size of this week's edition of Senator Zari. Do join us next week for a fresh edition.
Now to sports. The Tigers of Nigeria dumped rival Senegal to advance to the final of the AfroBasket Championship as Nigeria girls shine in spring St. African Schools Games in Nigeria. Plus, Israel Okon emerges fastest man at National Athletics Trials in Lagos. Alan Bodatwe brings us up to speed with the juicy details from the Breezy World of Sports.
The Tigresses of Nigeria last night posted a superlative performance to qualify for the final of the 2025 Women's AfroBasket in Abidjan after a 75-68 points triumph over hard-fighting Senegal in a tense semi-final contest decided at the Palace des Sports de Treichville in Côte d'Ivoire. The Rena Wakama coached ladies had to dig deep to overpower a determined Senegalese side handled by former Nigerian tactician Otis Yuli. The Tigresses won the first and second quarters 22-17 and 21-20, but the 11-time champions and beaten finalists in last edition won the third 21-19 to lead 58-52, but the Nigerians came out smoking in the fourth and final quarter to triumph 23-10 to establish a 6-point winning margin. Dubbed the final before the final, the rivalry between the two teams dates back to years. Records show that they have faced off 14 times previously, with Nigeria's The Tigresses emerging victorious 9 times and the Senegalese on 5
5 occasions. Coach Rena Wakama, who is leading the D Tigresses to chase a historic 5 title in a row, gave some hint of what she told the team to fire them to victory.
The message was, we must come out and be dominant while we're here.
Meanwhile, the 4 African teams that reached the 2025 Women's Afro-Basket semi-finals have secured their spots in the 2026 FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup qualifying tournament, which will take place in March next year. Mali, Nigeria, Senegal, and South Sudan join a group of 24 national teams that will compete in 4 FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup 2026 qualifying tournament. Each tournament features 6 teams, and the competition will determine the 16 teams that will compete in the Women's World Cup in Germany. Nigeria dominated the girls 100 meters race at the Maiden African Schools Games at their iconic 19th May 1956 stadium in Annaba, Algeria, finishing first and second in the Blue Ribbon event. Rosemary Chigozie took gold in the keenly contested final last night, while rising sprint sensation and current African under-18 champion Miracle Ezechukwu settled for silver medal. In the boys 100 meters event, Nigeria's Akolo Emmanuel finished fourth, while Bayelsa-born Faye Perfect had his medal upgraded to second, following his third place finish in the boys 400 meters after the Ghanaian winner was disqualified. Nigeria's Taekwondo athletes opened their campaign with 2 bronze medals as David Ibokete clinched bronze in the 55 kilogram category, while Unique Ume secured another in the 49 kg category. Team Nigeria concluded participation in the badminton event with an impressive haul of 6 medals made up of 2 gold, 3 silver and 1 bronze. Back home, Israel Okon is now the fastest man in the country after clocking 10.04 seconds to win the men's 100 meters race on day 2 at the All Nigeria Athletics Trials at the Yaba College of Technology, Yaba Tech Sports Arena in Lagos. The US-based sprint sensation breasted the tape first to clinch his first national title as Alaba Akintola finished second in 10.05 seconds, while Fakorede Nicholas was third in 10.07 seconds. Nnamdi Onwaeze won the men's 110 meters hurdles event in a time of 14.13 seconds, with Wisdom Musa finishing second in 14.19 seconds. Charles Godfrey, who claimed the second consecutive long jump men's title with a leap of 7.95 meters, says his goal is to qualify for the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo. Where he won a third discus title as Africa Under-20 champion Victor Clement also got his first senior Nigerian high jump title, jumping 2.05 meters. Meanwhile, 110 meters world record holder Tobi Amuson is through to the semi-finals of the women's hurdles event after winning a repechage heat in 11.28 seconds, as she is due to take part in both the women's 100 meters and 110 meters hurdles final scheduled for today, which is the final day of the trial. Over 200 players across the country are in Yenegua, Bayelsa State, taking part in the 5th edition of the Governor Doidri National Scrabble Championship. The 2-day competition, which began on Saturday, will climax today in Yenegua. Chairman of the Bayelsa State Scrabble Association, Daniel Alabra, said he expects explosive contest in all events in this year's tournament.
Big names in Scrabble, they look forward to this tournament every year since 2021 that we started.
With the total prize money increased to over 10 million naira, with the star prize of 1 million for the masters category, the players will also be hoping to catch home attractive cash prizes in the intermediate, veterans, opens and students categories, as well as the women events. Hostilities at the 2024 African Nations Championship CHAN got underway on Saturday, with co-host Tanzania spanking Burkina Faso 2-0 in the opening contest in Group B last night. The tournament enters day 2 today, with another co-host Kenya confronting Democratic Republic of Congo at the Arab Moi International Sports Center in Nairobi from 3 p.m, while Morocco clash with Angola at the Nyayo National Stadium, Nairobi at 6 p.m. in Group A, as Madagascar tackled Mauritania in Group B from 8 p.m. in Dar es Salaam. The Home Eagles of Nigeria, who are in Group D, opened their campaign on Tuesday against champion Senegal from 8 p.m. at the 15,000 capacity Amman Stadium in Zanzibar. Alam Natoye.
The commentary is on the importance of friendship. It is written by Kabir Batunde of the Legal Department.
International Day of Friendship was observed worldwide a few days ago to promote and encourage reconciliation, understanding, consensus, peace, happiness and unity through friendship. Besides connecting people and bridging cultural and ideological divides, global commitment and understanding of diversity and inclusion is being promoted by emphasizing that beyond differences in colors, views and tastes, humanity can find common ground to promote kindness and togetherness. Friendship transcends kith and kin and endures thick and thin. The 2025 United Nations World Happiness Report ranks Nigeria as the 7th friendliest country to strangers globally through acts of spontaneous kindness and personal generosity. The report states that despite institutional dysfunction, worsening poverty, and acute suffering in Nigeria, the citizens remain among the most generous and humane people in the world. Beyond the rosy humanity of Nigerians, the report exposes a troubling underbelly of Nigerian reality as it ranks 105th out of 147 countries in overall happiness and well-being. This is a paradoxical commentary on the compassionate, familial, community-oriented people. What can be more friendly and salutary than for Nigerians graciously helping one another out of daily existential travails through interpersonal networks rather than waiting on the government? It is apt to reflect on the meaning of friendship, which the complexity of human relationship has rendered different for everyone. The bond of friendship also varies in the sense that long-standing friendship may not necessarily be as close or good as short-term ones. William Shakespeare said that true friendship does not require elaborate ceremony or outward displays of affection. Rather, a vast genuine connection over superficial gestures, and that true tested friendship ought to be grappled onto the soul with hoops of steel. To underscore the ephemeralness of fair weather friendship, Shakespeare also said that private wound is deepest when the supposed best friend proves to be the worst enemy. What are friends for? This is a constant refrain which encapsulates the essence of friendship and acknowledges its supportive and positive impact, especially during difficult times. It is also a traditional response to expression of gratitude. For enduring friendship, friends must accept that no two minds think alike, and friendship must be built in mutual trust, respect, and candor. Francis Bacon is quoted as saying that without friendship, society is but a meeting. In other words, society is a meeting of the flesh without meeting of the minds. It is disingenuous of a friend to describe his fellow's actions as good when they are bad, but a friend who holds his fellow's faults to his face like a mirror and compels him to see them should be congratulated. True friendship transcends ethnicity, religion, region, and social class. In a country as richly diverse as ours, friendship has the power to bridge divides, heal wounds, and build stronger and more united communities. Whether in bustling cities like Lagos and Abuja, or in rural villages nationwide, every handshake, shared laughter, and act of kindness strengthens the fabric of our society. Friendship is not just a celebration of bonds between individuals, but a call to deepen the spirit of unity, mutual respect, and collaboration across all corners of Nigeria. Let us continue to be intentional about nurturing friendships that uplift, empower, and inspire positive change, because in unity there is strength.
That commentary on the importance of friendship was written by Kabir Babatunde and read by Moniya. Next is Cyberscopes, discussing stories trending on social media. Another State Governor Charles Oludu is setting the political space on fire. While speaking at a public forum in Oka, the governor raised eyebrows about politicians who promised to serve just one term, and Oludu did not hold back. He said, and I quote, "You come to people and say, I will do only one term. Any politician who said that must be sent to a psychiatric home." That line went viral. One thing is, Oludu has everyone talking. Now to a story that is shaking both airport terminals and social media timelines. Controversial auto dealer Ike Chukwudunya, aka IVD, has been arrested hours before flying out of the country. Sources say he was picked up at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport on his way to Qatar, reportedly for a quiet destination wedding with none other than viral relationship therapist Blessing CEO. Now, IVD's arrest is tied to the 2022 death of his wife, Bimbo Udunya, a tragic and highly publicized case involving allegations of domestic abuse, violent confrontations, and a house fire that stuns the nation. As the investigation reopens, questions swirl. Will this be the moment that justice finally speaks? Time will tell.
Football X is in meltdown after the Magpies reportedly dropped a massive 80 million euro bid for Benjamin Sesko, the 22-year-old Slovenian striker, lighting up the Bundesliga with RB Leipzig. Now, TikTok football edits are already rolling in with slow motion goals, dramatic music, and the caption, Sesko to the Prem, inject it. But hold up, Leipzig isn't just handing him over. They want a sell-on clause baked into the deal, and that is stalling the whole transfer saga. And that's all for Cyberscope for today. Cyberscope was compiled by Ngozi Otu. Next is newspaper headlines. The Punch reads, Tinubu's re-election, Northern ex-lawmakers split after presidency meeting. APC threatens Nigeria's unity progress. L5. Nurses call of strike after 4 days. And for sports, Tinubu hails the Tigers for reaching 5th consecutive AfroBasket final. We also have the Vanguard, ADC, PDP in fierce battle over viable alternative to APC. Some Nigerians in Ghana behave badly. Displaced Ghanaian businessmen and flaunt wealth, said by Ambassador Keshi. NBA, NGE, NUJ kick as Niger governor shuts radio station. Nkwasiwa Youths urges equitable development and decries northern marginalization in federal projects. Now let's go to the Nation newspaper. Why I rejected $17,000 bribe. Police officer. AAU final year students found dead after being missing for 5 days. PDP loyalists slam ADC defectors, vow to keep the party strong in Enugu. How we surmount difficulties to become graduates, Edu IDPs. The Daily Trust is next. Katsina Emirate appoints Sirika Radassom as district head. And that's newspaper headlines for today as compiled by Moniya and for weather reports, prospects of morning thunderstorms and moderate rains over parts of Adamawa, Taraba, and Borno. Bauchi. To end the news, here's a recap of the major stories. The National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives has suspended its nationwide strike. The federal government has inaugurated agribusiness hub to reduce post-harvest losses. Over 4